Well, first they sent us up to Boston, and we thought maybe there was a possibility that we were going to go to the South Pacific. But then they sent us over to Camp Chenango in Pennsylvania, only for a week or so, and from there they shipped us to Virginia, and that's where we shipped overseas, right from there.
And do you recall what kind of troop ship that you had? Did you have an ocean liner or?
Oh no, it was a small. I'm not sure what they called it. I don't think it was called an LST because that's infantry landing craft, and it wasn't that. It was bigger than that. It had, I would say, it had approximately 300 or 400 men on there.
And did you go over with your entire division, the 34th Infantry
Yes.
Division?
Well, no, they were over there. I was a replacement. That's right.
Oh, you were a
Yeah.
replacement.
I was a replacement, so we were just going as replacements.
Okay. And so you were mixed, I would imagine, with other medical personnel as well as regular infantry, artillery, etc.
Yes, that's correct.
And do you recall during the journey where you were in a pack of ships at that point in time?
Yes, it was a convoy, but the one fellow that was a merchant marine said that when he was going on their other trip before taking us over there to Africa, he was his ship was sunk, and just luckily he got into a life raft and was saved, and so he still stayed with his outfit, and that's what his job was.
So at that time, the German submarines were a threat to the convoys.
Yes, yeah, they'd follow him. But I remember we had little destroyers that used to throw depth charges, and I remember they were small. Ours was pretty big, and I said, and it was rough seas, and I said, boy, those fellows, I don't know how they wouldn't be sick every day in a week. It was terrible, but they would throw depth charges, and would scare them off, which we were lucky.
Were there incidents that you watched the destroyers?
Yes, I could hear them. I didn't see them, but we could hear them. If I didn't see them, we could certainly hear them. You know, these could often be a loud explosion.
But there were no incidents on your voyage?
No, not that I know of, no. But there were other ships here, but we would have been notified. They would have told us.
And then what were conditions like during that trip?
Well, it was a very rough ocean, and I do remember that I started to get seasick, and I said to a friend of mine that let's go above deck and sleep up there. And you weren't really permitted to do that, but for some reason or other, we went up there and they never chased us, and so that prevented me from getting seasick, because when we arrived over in Africa, some of the fellows they had to carry off in a litter because they couldn't walk. They were so sick. So by us staying above deck like that, we didn't get sick.
So the majority of the troops were forced to stay in their hulls?
Oh yes, yes.
And then what were the living conditions like on that ship at the time? Did you have bunks in the hulls?
There was bunks, yes. And also the meals were relatively good. You know, it was good meals, so I never complained about any of that stuff.
And then how often did they feed you on this troop ship?
I believe it was at least twice a day. You know, it was probably maybe possibly a late breakfast and then a big meal for supper. But we might have had lunch too occasionally. I don't remember.
But there are a lot of incidents of seasickness.
Oh yes, yes. When they had to carry those fellows off, when I arrived there, I'm not sure where it was, at Casablanca, I think. They had to carry these fellows off, and we walked off. And I was so thankful that I didn't have to get carried off.